Hi, welcome to a new video. Today we're going to talk about the biggest and most common mistake I see with people who are starting with strength training, are familiar with strength training, even with people who train for years with weight. So from the outside, when someone is watching a bodybuilder, strength athlete, a regular athlete who's doing strength training to get better at his or her sport, you will see one thing, that the person is moving weights. But moving weights is not the goal. Moving weights is just a tool. You can imagine that like a car mechanic who's trying to tighten a screw. So he'll get a tool for it. He's going to use the tool to tighten the screw. And the tool is only the tool for tightening the screw. The goal is the screw. And that's the misconception most people have when it comes to strength training, like I had it myself, that moving the weight is the actual goal. I mean, moving the weight is definitely the goal if it comes to a competition. So if you're going to max out with your buddies on New Year, for example, of course, you just want to move up this weight on the bench press to show you're the alpha male and you can bench more than the others. But that's a competition and not training. Your training shouldn't be competition. The goal of the training itself is to achieve a certain stimulus. So whatever the higher goal of your training is, if it is hypertrophy, strength, or just general health, you do have certain goals, like putting tension on the muscle, like moving a joint for the full range of motion, like doing a certain amount of repetitions to achieve a certain amount of volume. Whatever goal this may be, the weight which you are moving is only the tool to achieve this goal. So in general, when it comes to an exercise like the bench press, for example, the goal is not to move the weight up and down as long as you're not a powerlifter. The goal is to get a certain stimulus on your muscles, like stretch on the pec muscle, like tension on your pec muscle, like volume, like the general amount of work the muscle itself is doing by moving the weight up and down. One very common situation in which the problem I just talked about appears is during pressing movements, that people are not only moving the weight up and down, but are trying to move the weight as far up and down as possible. With the shoulder joint, if you're trying to do like a punch when you're doing a bench press, this puts your shoulder joint in a very uncomfortable and very unstable position. But if you want to know more about it, this video is the right one for you. And here I'm just going to say that you should try to focus on the range of motion which benefits your specific training goal the most. One example of how to move weight or how to stimulate growth on your muscle, I can show you here with the classic curl. One thing that you see with some people is that they use momentum to get the weight moving from the downward position to the top position. But as you can see here, I'm using a lot of momentum and my muscle itself is barely working. But if you're working the muscle without any momentum, here you get the tension into your muscle, into the muscle itself. This doesn't mean that using momentum is a bad thing. Of course, if you did like 8 repetitions with perfect form here without any momentum, of course, if you couldn't do a 9th, it would be fine to use a little bit of momentum and then go into a slow eccentric movement. Also, it doesn't mean that using momentum is not producing a growth stimulus. You see a lot of people who got freaking huge and freaking strong with using momentum. It's just the amount you're using that changes the stimulus which you put onto your body. But even the people who use a lot of momentum on their training exercise, they know that using the momentum is also just a tool to get a certain stimulus like fatigue, like tension into the muscle itself. If you like this video, please leave me a like. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or send me a personal message. I'll be very happy to answer them. See you in the next video.